Hi, my name's Paul Nyman and I've been in recruitment for 25 years. During that period of time, I've worked both internally as a recruiter within large corporate global organisations, supporting the development of talent teams. But I've also been running my own recruitment business for the last 20 years, where I've interviewed in excess of 25,000 people and managed thousands of applications to be successful of job offers. In this part of the series of interviewing, I'm going to share with you how to be successful at second interview, the type of aspects of that second stage interview process that's going to come up, and what you need to do to be successful in order to land that career opportunity that you're hoping for. So let's talk about number one. Number one, you've had the first interview, you got through the nice piece, they like the values of you, they like you as a person. So what's going to happen at this second stage? This second stage is all about, can the person that sat in front of me, the interviewer, deliver the role to make our business and me as a potential line manager successful as we move forward? Be minded at this point that the person who you're talking to may not be the same person that you met at the first stage. So don't be apprehensive about re-mentioning anything that's come up in the first stage should you have a second stage interview with a different individual. On some occasions, notes are not transferred. On some occasion, information is opportunistic to be reinforced. So be aware that there is an opportunity for you to re-energise the organisation with a new individual about your situation. So let's get on with what's the second interview is all about. It's about a technical interview. It's about an assessment of your ability to deal with the business, and it's probably going to involve some psychometrics. So the assessment may well be around a competency-based approach of how you deal with certain situations that are going to be more technically associated with the role. So in advance, check out the job description. In advance, know exactly what they're looking for. And in advance, reflect back on that first stage interview that's been really successful already, where you will have been given some little pieces to share and take with you. That should give you some insights about the type of competency technical interviews that could be asked at this second stage. Your assessment may well be technical. It may be you get an in-tray exercise. It may well be you get a case study. It may well be that actually what they do, they put you into a group with other potential candidates at the same time. As a part of that, often there is no right or wrong answer to a number of these assessments. It's about how you justify the outcome of your answer at the end. So don't think that by presenting a certain solution, you may be wrong or you may be right. Often, what I've found is many organisations are looking for your ability to back up your own thought process and your considerations of your viewpoint. Ultimately, what that comes down to is this person going to be able to talk competently within the business, or are they going to waffle their way through? So the assessment doesn't have to be 100% accurate, but your ability to back yourself up is. That covers the assessment process. The next part may involve psychometrics. And for some people, this testing regime can be really, really daunting. The testing regime consists often of two parts. One is verbal and numerical tests, and the other is more of a psychometric profile. The verbal and numerical tests are really about actually how do we work together, how your preferred style of working is. It's going to be about your literacy, so are you numerically capable, and your literacy and your numeracy skills. Within the context of that, they will often be used as either development tools to look at you as an individual in terms of how you can progress your career forward and what the business needs to do to support you be super successful in the future, in conjunction with the psychometric profile, which are the likes of Myers-Briggs, DISC, Saville and Holdsworth. All of those can be utilised from a psychometric profile to give an insight in terms of how you will fit in the team, how you cope with situations under pressure, how you'll deal with uncertainty. And often those questions and the answers to those questions will be correlated with the answers that you've given. So if you know that you find a particular aspect of work difficult, be prepared to answer that question, because the psychometric profile will show you and the interviewer what your development areas are. By you having an awareness of your own development areas will show you to be more palatable to the organisation than those that are not aware of their own personal awareness. Keep your accomplishments to the job description. Keep your achievements to the skills and values of the business. So keep it professional throughout that whole second stage. And so I've covered off here the body of the interview, but there's also the fringe parts. Those fringe parts are going to be in a couple of areas. One, have some questions at the end of the interview. Do not get to the end of the interview process and say, nope, you've answered all my questions, that's great. Have some questions for the interviewer. What's kept them in the business? What challenges them at night? What keeps them awake with their role? How can you support with your skills in the business over the next month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months? What will be the challenges for you in the next couple of months? As important as questions for the interviewer are actually the basics of attending. Make sure you're on time. Make sure you know who you're meeting and the backgrounds of the individuals. Check out the names. And if you don't know that if you know you're not so good at keeping names in your head, write them down on a pad in front of you. Really importantly, prepare with a great night's sleep beforehand. Have something to eat. Have some coffee if it gets you going, but make sure you're hydrated. Do not go in there feeling dozy and slow, thinking I've got to have a day off the food today. You've got to be energized. And the most important thing, do not ask about salary. I'll cover off a separate piece about how to negotiate on salary for you. But the salary, if the business values you, of course they're going to offer you the salary, which will ultimately probably reflect at a low end at the starting point. But we can negotiate around that later on. But do not bring up the issue of salary. Bring up the issue of what the opportunities are, bring up the issue of development, bring up the issue of growth of your skills, but do not talk about salary. And finally, the other part that you need to be aware of, if you're being asked for a second interview, you're getting a lot closer to that offer. So be familiar with who your potential referees are. If you can offer a confident referee who will willingly support you at a second interview stage, it shows that you know your network. If you know your network, it will tell the interviewer a little bit more about you than just the interview questions they've asked you. So preparation is really key. As a quick summary and recap, use the interview from stage 1 to give you an insight further about the type of questions that may come up. Use the interview background in terms of the type of things that they've asked you already to give you an insight as to what may come in the future. Know exactly the type of assessment that you're going into, knowing that it may not be right, and prepare in advance with some dummy questions that you can receive online to assess and prep you in advance for the numerical and psychometric tests. And finally, have those questions ready and do not ask about salary. I trust this has been really helpful. Subscribe here to keep in touch and to receive other insights about the situations for your interview and your offer. And if you have any questions, get in touch, give me a call.